Why Israel? You're a Gentile.
I'm not Jewish. That's true.
You're a Christian.
I grew up in a great Christian family, and we had a great. We always thought of the Jewish people positively and thought of Israel positively, but we didn't really think about it that much, though. Even though we're Christians, we read the Bible, we would think of Israel as 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. But I got invited to go on a trip, and it was sort of a scouting trip. Let's go see if there's a story to be done here. Somebody brought me over, and it just blew me away immediately. As soon as it was like God just gave me the download while I was there that He's on the move, and there's things that He's doing in Israel that He was talking about in Deuteronomy. And I started to understand these things being there.
Yeah, Israel is transformative, and when you walk the land and you see the places mentioned, and then I like to tell people you can dig in the dirt and you can find the stories real. The archaeology is showing that this is real history. This isn't some myth.
Right.
The best news that I think that, and your film I Am Israel really brings it out, is the miracles are still happening there. In the restoration of the land and the people, the two coming together is producing miraculous things. Tell us one of the stories.
So Yaakov Berg, he's a vineyard owner in the mountains of Israel in what's known as Samaria. His story represents this theme of the rebirth of the land. Everybody in the movie represents something. We have the best artist in Israel, Alex Levine, who represents the rebirth of art and culture. We have a cowboy, Jonathan Rosenberg, who represents the protector of Israel. We have a young mother who represents a new life. Everybody represents something. But Yaakov represents the rebirth of the land. After the time of Christ, the vineyards in Israel were uprooted. There was no vineyards for almost 2,000 years. The Bible, though, talks about in Ezekiel that the mountains of Israel, that the vineyards will return to the mountains of Israel before the end. And for 2,000 years, no vineyards at all. And Yaakov and a number of other men there, they start to plant vineyards. The experts said it's never going to happen. It's never going to take root. But they planted, and they took root, and the vineyards began to come back. This was only late 90s. This was not that long ago. We're literally living through this amazing time when God talked about things in the Old Testament, and we're seeing these things happen.
What do you see next for Israel? That we're getting ready to celebrate the 70th anniversary. Where do you see it going now?
I was just there 3 weeks ago, and I got to go to the Temple Mount. Now, this is controversial. Yeah. This is the most important real estate in the entire world. I don't know what's next, but I can tell you what my dream would be. It's a big dream that people like you and I and the Jewish people would be able to go up on the Temple Mount and pray, that we'd be able to go to the Temple Mount and read from the Psalms. As you know, we can't do that right now.
Yeah, it's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal to be Jewish on the Temple
The
Mount.
Jewish people, it's their most holy place. Our Messiah loved Jerusalem and the Temple Mount so much. It was the most important thing. And he wept over Jerusalem, but we can't go there. And he said so many amazing things on the Temple Mount. And if you and I repeated those things up there, we'd be arrested. And I wonder if the time is coming we'll be able to pray up there again.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
And we kind of talk about that a little bit.
I confess, I have prayed up there.
Yeah.
You have to do it secretly. I've done it out loud with a group. Yeah, but you have to look around. Is it okay?
Yeah.
And anyway, you had another miracle with this, though. The narrator you had. How did you get such a famous guy?
John Rhys-Davies. We're blessed and honored to have John Rhys-Davies as our narrator. My favorite movie as a kid, and today, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Indiana Jones movies. I love those movies. And John Rhys-Davies has one of the great voices in Hollywood.
There is a prophecy in the Bible about God returning a valley of dry bones to life. Many believe this prophecy is unfolding before our very eyes.
As we were filming I Am Israel, we have a completely Jewish cast, and the whole movie takes place in Israel, but the movie's made for a Christian audience. So I really wanted to have a narrator that would allow the Christian audience to really enter into the story. And I couldn't think of anybody better than Mr. John Rhys-Davies. You know, he lives in New Zealand, because I guess when they were shooting Lord of the Rings, he just fell in love with New Zealand. So we actually recorded it where he was in a studio in New Zealand, and we were in a studio in Nashville, and we could communicate online together. And so that's where he recorded the narration.
Yay. All right. Well, I encourage you to get it. If you want to see David's new film, a Blu-ray DVD of I Am Israel is available at the website, IamIsraelFilm.com. He also has something that if you're a church or a synagogue, you can download it for free if you show it to the congregation. So I encourage you to do it. It'll be an inspiration. God is still at work. Israel is proof that God is working today.